Okay, Ryan Newman has joined us here in the Media Center, and he drives the number 39 U.S. Army Chevrolet for Stewart Haas Racing. A couple things I'd like to point out. This weekend's the 237th birthday for the United States Army, which you proudly sponsor your race car, big sponsor of your race car. And then also another one of your big sponsors, Quicken Loans, will be sponsoring this race here on Sunday. So maybe talk about that. I'm sure no pressure on you this weekend, but talk about that, being able to, you know, being able to be associated with the United States Army has got to be a big deal. I know you have thoroughly enjoyed that. It means a lot to you. And then also Quicken Loans come on this year, a big sponsor for you.
Yeah, I was thinking, I don't look at it as pressure. I look at it as reasons to do well. I'm really proud, as always, to drive the U.S. Army car. It's an honor to represent soldiers out there, past, present, and future, who have always and will always fight for our freedom to do the things that we love and enjoy our families and enjoy that peace of mind. So, you know, it's to celebrate their birthday in the race car and on the racetrack, and getting a nice slice of cake, I guess, before I get in the race car is nice, and just very thankful for their support and them allowing us to represent them. And Quicken Loans, obviously, being in Detroit, it's special for them to be close to home. There's a lot of executives that are going to be here, and you know, really kind of getting started with this will be our fourth race this year with them as a primary sponsor. But actually, I shouldn't say that. This is our Army race, but we're going into our fourth race, the next race. So we just getting started with our relationship with them, and look forward to growing that.
Okay, we'll take questions now for Ryan Newman. If you have one, raise your hand, and we'll get around to you. Questions for Ryan Newman? I'll start here with Mike from Auto Week.
Ryan, looks like your track record might be going down tomorrow.
Yeah, I call Mother Nature, and she's on standby just in case. If we don't feel like we have a shot, we're going to see if we can make it rain. But well, absolutely, but I mean, it's no different than what we had at Bristol when we were in that 1490. Then they did the racetrack, and now it's that much harder to get to a 1490. Here, they've redone the racetrack, and it's way easy to get to 194. So, you know, it's just a product of evolution of the racetrack, the cars, the tires, the horsepower. It's I told them my ultimate goal is for them to just be able to change the numbers and not the name.
Go over here to Monty.
Monty doesn't gas in his debt. You just made me think of something. It has long been a sort of a
sorry about
issue.
that.
Actually, I have a college degree too, I swear. When you know, the wins that Richard Petty had at Richmond count, even though it's an entirely different track now. There are times when the records at Atlanta is an entirely different track than was a pure oval. Just from your point of view, how much change is it before it qualifies as different? I mean, it seems like to me that
as far as the track itself?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is it seems like to me that the wins when Richmond was an entirely, just the fact that it's on the same piece of land, seems like to me that there ought to be separate records for a different track.
I mean, I don't see it necessarily as that. I'm thinking about, you know, baseball stadiums and baseball fields and football stadiums, whatever you want to call it. You know, they might change their venue. They might build a new stadium. You know, for instance, the Colts don't play in the RCA Dome or the Hoosier Dome anymore. They play in Lucas Oil. Well, yes and no. I mean, it's entirely different. The lights are different. The field's different. You know, it's different. It's different. I mean, look at the Cowboys built a brand new stadium. It took them forever to win in it. You know, it's different. It's not. It's not. I mean, that's like saying that Charlotte and Texas and, you know, Homestead and every other, just because they're a mile and a half doesn't mean that they're the same. What's the difference between grass and astroturf? A lot. What if they're different kinds of grass? You ever stepped on different kinds of grass?
Okay, the answer is
they're different. Ultimately they're different though. I'm not saying I disagree. I'm just saying that they're different. When you look at it stat-wise, you won in Indy, you won in Richmond, you won in Daytona. It's still right. Geographically, they don't say you won it. You won at these GPS coordinates, and they move the racetrack over 500 feet. It's not like that. I don't think we disagree though.
okay. We can have an argument on whether we disagree.
I'm not even arguing.
Who else has a question?
I don't think you want to argue.
Who else has a question? Let's go over here to Mike.
I can't top Monty, but is it too fast out there, Ryan, or are you comfortable with the speeds, or what is comfort out at on the track right now?
Realistically, it's a very good question because it is fast. I don't, and I can't say that it's too fast. Nobody really has had a situation where they've hit the wall or hit each other to say that it's too fast, and we won't know until that time comes if it is too fast. So predicting that, I don't know that there is a true answer on figuring out if 218 at the end of the front straightaway is too fast when we were doing 207 before. That extra 11 miles an hour, is that too fast? I don't know. It is fast, no doubt. And like I said, and explaining speed to people, I always said from 140 miles an hour on up, it doesn't necessarily feel any faster until you hit a bump or something hits you, or you hit the wall or a tire blows out. And I equate that to flying in an airplane. When you're running 500-600 miles an hour, you don't feel like you're going that fast until you hit turbulence. And that turbulence is just a difference in air, and that air feels big when you're going that fast. And that's what we're dealing with is, we really haven't hit that turbulence yet in the race car, in a group, bouncing off each other as we do at times. So I don't know that it's too fast, but it is fast.
Let's go to Bob and then to Patrick.
Bob Parker, Sporting News. They increased the size of that shark fin, I think, anticipating these speeds, and if you do get turned, keep the cars on the ground. Have you found that shark fin has made a difference as far as cars getting up in the air or not?
I personally am usually the reason why they create those rules, but I haven't been turned around. I know that they've done that, mechanically and engineering wise, it makes sense as to why they do that, and I know that they've done some extensive testing to validate that it does, activate the roof flaps quicker and get the car set back down, more efficiently. I don't know if there's a limit to that. Obviously, there is some kind of limit to it. That's why they increased it. But I don't know the true answer to your question because I haven't experienced it firsthand. It makes sense, yeah, from a side force perspective as well as from activating and pitching the air up on top of the car and activating those roof flaps. Yes, absolutely.
Patrick, in the middle there, Ryan.
Patrick Levy, NASCAR Productions. Ryan, looking ahead to Kentucky in a couple of weeks, you had a top 5 there last year. Could you talk about Kentucky and how it compares to other mile-and-a-half tracks on the schedule?
It's got a lot of character because it's pretty bumpy and I enjoy the race there. It was interesting. That was kind of our first experience with going into a racetrack and getting more practice sessions and more time on the racetrack before we actually started our weekend. So, we learned a lot there about Kentucky, having not tested there for a while, and I look forward to going back there, not just because we ran well last year, but because it's a fun racetrack.
Anybody else have a question for Ryan? I see one there, Brian. We can get Brian a mic, please. Thank you.
Brian Nelson, Motor Racing Network. Ryan, how do you feel about the prospect of testing more, especially next year with the new car?
I'm not for the testing part of it. I don't think that it's necessary. Number one, I don't think that it necessarily makes the racing any better. To me, it's an expense that the teams don't need to go through. From an expense monetary standpoint, but an expense physically of our schedule and the things that we do. I think that it's been good to not go do the testing that we have when it's kind of like the whole F1 deal and all that stuff where they're starting to put a cap on the money and the testing and all that stuff. It just, to me, I'd rather us not go and get to the racetrack and show up and race. To me, that's the way short track racing is. You go from one racetrack to the next, you show up, you practice, you qualify, you run your heat race, and you race. And that's something I think that there's a lot of merit to in putting on a good race. It allows the teams to adapt a little quicker. They have to be on your game to show up, come off the truck and be good, and not having gone there and testing and trying to figure out what the difference is between the track when you tested and when you get there for the race.
Go ahead, Mark.
Mark Allman, NASCAR.com. Ryan, is there a spot as we get closer to Richmond where you start looking at the place you are in the standings and you worry more about wins than where you finish? And have you gotten to that point yet? I know you've got the one win and you're 14th in the points, but are you playing off of that yet?
No, I don't worry about that. I mean, obviously, I know what my stats are when it comes to having the one win and where we are in the points. But our goal is to go out there and win every race, and that's everybody else's goal 9 times out of 10. And you do the best you can. And it would be great to have 2 wins, but we would have loved to have won the first 2 races of the year too. So I mean, it doesn't change anything. That's what we got. That's what we've accomplished so far. And going into Richmond, it's that may weigh into it. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully we're in the top 10, and it is no worry.
Anybody else have a question for Ryan?
See if Monty's thought anything more. You did last time. It's just my opinion.
Ryan, we appreciate you coming in today. Happy
Thank you.
birthday to the United States Army.
Yes, thank you. No.
Congratulations
No, thank
with the Quicken Loans, and it'd be a cool deal for you on Sunday.
Yeah. We're proud to have both sponsors be a big part of this weekend, and we'll do our best.
Thank you, Ryan.